There it is. Boom. I'm like looking at myself on a screen. That's great. I think we're ready. Ready to send it. Record.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Okayest Hunter podcast. After a 2 or 3 week hiatus of just crazy busy stuff. It got really busy around here. We've moved studios and down to the wire, trying to get stuff figured out. And then we get our guest on here. And we're going to get everything ready, and I think I had like a mic failure. Straight up, or a mixer. I'm not sure, but this is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Stuff seems to I think it just is best friends with Murphy's Law or something. It's wild. I mean, I had a doe blowing at me when I took the trash out the other night. You got to be kidding me. Just to give you a insight into my life. But we are here at the new studio. I'm very thrilled about that because it's exciting to not be in my basement. We have a dedicated space, yada, yada, yada. So lots of prep. Still needs to go into this place. It is not done by a long stretch, but I guess I'm the kind of person that likes to build planes while they fly. So there's that. And we're wrapping up our inventory sweepstakes. Today is the last day to enter. So if you happen to get this, if you're listening live, go ahead and get your email entered into that giveaway. And there's lots of ways to get bonus entries. So you could, if you follow us on Spotify or YouTube, you get bonus entries. There's all sorts of things you can do there, which, by the way, if you're not following us on Apple or Spotify or YouTube, you should go do that. That helps us. That means a lot to us. I also am fixing a technical error with Apple that's been an issue for 8 years or something. We have 2 feeds on there. It's the same exact show, but it's like splitting the value of our feed in 2 places for no good reason at all. So that's hopefully going to get fixed. That being said, reviews, subscribes, I don't ever push that stuff ever because if you like the show, you'll do that. I don't feel like I need to tell you to do that, but I'm saying it now because I never do. Foam Fest is next weekend. It is on August 9th. That's a Saturday. So we're just getting all our ducks in a row for that too. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I'm wearing the Foam Fest shirt. So if you registered before July 26th, you will get one of these shirts. I think in the registration form we asked you for your shirt size. So excited to see everybody there. I think we have the most registrants we've had ever. This is going to be year 4. I think it's year 4. We're also working on our season 3 of our Okayest Hunter show, so that's going to be dropping soonish. Lots happening. So welcome back. If you missed us, sorry we were gone. Derek was going to be here, but he's driving back from up north. Couldn't get here in time. And Greg is back sometime starting August. He'll be a regular in the studio again. So pretty exciting stuff. We do have a guest tonight, so I promise it won't just be me rambling on because that would suck. Also, Oak Tree Dreams, what's going on? We're going to bring our guest on, Jon Landwehr. And I may have just pronounced his last name wrong, even though I just asked him how to pronounce it correctly.
You got it, Jon.
All right. Thanks for putting up with my technical whatever. I mean, you've listened to the show. It sounds like, this is what you get when you're on the Okayest Hunter podcast. We can set the bar pretty low.
I mean, if you think you're the only one that has technical difficulties, I promise you, you're not.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Let's hear. Yeah, no, people don't like put it on like blast for everybody to see in a live broadcast. I don't know why I've decided to do it this way, but here we are. So we do have the phone lines open. God knows if that's going to work or not, but they are there. I might decide to put the number on the screen if folks want to call in. Otherwise, the chat is open if you want to comment in chat. And I did want to say one more thing about the giveaway before I move on to get you kind of into the show here is we are going to announce the winner live next week on the 5th of August on the show. So there's 3 winners. We're going to announce all 3 on the podcast live. So if you want to find out who won, tune in. That being said, let's talk about deer hunting and deer because this is it, man. This is like put the key in the ignition and like, let's turn her over here because that's about where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just like here in Kansas, man, we're just weeks away. It's knocking at the door. It seems like just yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long. Like, can we just hurry up time? And then now that it's almost here, it's like, oh my God, I have this to do. I have this to do. I have this to do. It's like, shit.
Have you ever done a power hour? Do you know what that is?
No, I do not.
I don't know if you're a drinker or not, but it just happens to involve drinking beer. But you take a shot of beer every minute for an hour. Why this is
Shot of beer.
relevant? It sounds like, oh, that's easy. A shot of beer. Like, well, that's
Yeah.
stupid. So you set your stopwatch on your phone. You hit go and you wait for 60 seconds to count down. You take your shot of beer, and it feels like it's taking forever. By the end of the hour, you're like, pour the shot. There's only 4 seconds left. Oh my God. Your perception of time is totally different because you're trashed. And I feel like we're drunk on deer. Like, oh my God, we only have like a couple of weeks. Like, let's go. But before you're like, dude, this is taking forever.
Yeah.
Like I'm equating it to that power hour time warp.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got plenty of time. We're plenty of time. And then before you know it, then you've got, this going on and this going on this weekend. And it's like, oh my gosh, when am I going to find time to, get these blinds out or get these stands up? It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's a lot. Well, why don't you just take a step back. Let's do a formal introduction. Like I think you've mentioned you've been listening to the podcast for some time or following on social. And you recently just kind of like locked arms with the Midwest Whitetail guys. So let's talk about your hunting heritage, what you're doing, what you've been doing, and that'll kind of set the stage for where we want to go here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like, so I grew up, pretty young around hunting. Shoot, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I was out in the field with my dad doing a lot of upland bird hunting. And I always remember my dad, like, he wasn't a trophy hunter by any means. He used to shoot a longbow or a longbow or recurve. I think it might have been a recurve, but he was a meat hunter. Like he'd go out and shoot a couple of deer every year. I mean, just strictly to feed us kids. I mean, and that was the only deer hunting he ever did. And so I was raised in Nebraska and until the 6th grade, and then we moved down here to my grandpa's farm. He got put in a nursing home, and so we came over to take care of the farm and whatnot. And let's say, coming down here from Nebraska, doing a bunch of bird hunting here, we'd see big deer get up out of the CRP fields all the time and out of the waterways, and that kind of started a lot of fire in me. Of like, gosh, dang, look at that big old buck freaking run away! Like, damn, I'd like to kill one of them someday. And so a year later, 7th grade, I killed a pretty good 8-pointer, 150-inch 8 with my muzzleloader. And then I just kind of decided that was too easy. so like, let's throw a challenge in here. So then the next year I started bow hunting, and it was an old Browning bow. It was a compound bow, but it was an old Browning bow. And that, so yeah, my 7th grade year during the rut, I killed one, just a, 135-inch 11-pointer with my bow at like 6 yards. He was following a doe on a fence line, and I shot him like 6 yards. And man, after that, it just kind of, just skyrocketed. After that, it took off, and wasn't ever real picky. Never was a real picky hunter, good deer, I'm going to kill it. And wasn't until probably about 10 years ago that I'm like, all right, I'm really going to try to target mature deer. And for like 2 or 3 years now, I didn't kill a deer because it was like, it's this or nothing. And that's when I think you really kind of learn what you're capable of, and figure out what to do, is when you kind of make that jump from, shooting, 2 and 3 year old deer to try to just target only mature deer. So I learned a lot there, learned a lot of failures, learned that tag soup doesn't taste good. Whether you boil it, fry it, anything, tag soup doesn't taste good ever. But and then it wasn't until about 5 years ago, or no, it was about 7 years ago. I killed my first booner, and the year after that, I killed another one, and then in 2020, I killed my first 200, and then killed another one the year after that. And it's been up until this last year. This last year, I struggled pretty hard, but last 5 years, my son and I have been able to hunt 200-inch deer. I mean, pretty much every year. So it's really kind of developed into something that we love to do. And when my son when he got into it to like target, certain deer, he realized real quick, if we've got 10 bucks that are, mature bucks, they're not going to score real high. But then when you only target one specific deer, he learned pretty quick that it's not near as easy when you go after one deer, or 10. It really kind of puts a different spin on things. But we're pretty lucky. We live in a really good area. We live in Kansas, the land of the giants, so they say. And yeah, I mean, we pretty much target big deer, but that's just our preference. You know, I've got several deer too that are 8, 9 year old bucks running around that probably aren't going to
Wow.
go 140s. But if one of them walks in front of me, they're going to get an arrow. I promise you that. They've
Yeah,
given me
yeah.
gray hairs here in my 30s. It's like, if you come in daylight, you're going to get an arrow, bud.
I love that. It's funny you say, like, yeah, that's our preference, and I got to harp on our mission and ethos a little bit, because it's somewhere along the way in the beginning, I think people thought with our logo, it's like you guys are just promoting to shoot small deer or spike bucks or meat hunter, and that, sure, maybe we are. We're also promoting, mostly the actual quintessence of the message is just shoot what you want to shoot, and if that's
Yep.
what you're after, like, more power to you. Like, that's what you should chase. That's what gets you going. And I was talking to someone the other day. Um, where was I? Oh, I think I was talking to my cousin, who actually was just on the Dropping Pins podcast, Jeremy Clark. We were at a little, like, family reunion type thing we do every summer, and he kills huge deer. Like, he's really effective. He uses a longbow, and he's incredible. Um, One of the best hunters I probably know personally, and he's like, well, it's not too hard to kill deer. It's really hard to kill mature deer. It's like it's a
Yeah.
different animal. Um, and it's all relative, of course. And I was sharing a story how I had drawn back on a 2.5 year, like, 8 pointer. Great public land buck. That's why I drew back on him. I drew back on him like 4 times, and I finally got a shot and I whiffed. I just went over his back. And then, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, a mature buck showed up. And I was maybe a little overconfident because I had drawn back on a buck 4 times and it was all good to go. I
Yeah.
barely, like, twitched, and this big one pegged me instantly. And I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, I didn't even, how did you see me? What were you doing?" And it's like, well, that's a different animal. That is a different deer to be hunting. And when I experienced that, it like clicked for me to a degree that I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna I want to figure out how to get you," because I'm people close to me know that I'm incredibly competitive and, like, I am just naturally a driven person, blah blah blah. But I, like, challenge accepted is how I feel. I really want to,
Yeah.
like, just see that I can do it. Um, and the guy up here on the wall, like that, I got it done. I wouldn't say, like, there's luck involved with that kind of stuff. It was 140 and shit's my biggest deer that I've gotten with the bow, but everything had to go right. And they're just definitely harder to kill. They're operating at a different level. So hats off to you, the fact that you can get that kind of stuff done. But let's talk about that a little bit, because everyone's at different stages in their hunting journey. And for those that are looking to get a little bit, we have a lot of DMs. People just send me DMs the other day, like they're still trying to kill their first deer. So I don't want to
Yeah.
say, like, killing deer is easy, because if you haven't done it yet, it feels just as hard as me maybe trying to kill a mature buck. Um,
Yeah.
I went glassing with my kids last night, and I can't glass the areas I thought I was going to be able to because there's corn there now. I drove all the way out there. I was like, shit, I can't see anything, guys. Like, there's no way. It was beans last year's corn this year. And I'm thinking, like, how is that going to change what these deer are doing? Because beans brown early, corn will go a little bit later, and they can like bulk up on that right before the rut almost. And if it's especially with standing, and who knows when the farmer's going to cut it? I don't know their rotation and when they're going to do that. So, what are your thoughts on how those things are? Like, if you're putting out cams now, that might help you just get some inventory. But what the deer are doing now are not what they're going to be doing when we go hunt them. And
No.
food sources are part of that. And we have a lot of egg. We're in the Midwest. I mean, I'm in Wisconsin. You're in Kansas. There's just a ton of egg everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Crop rotations, just like you're saying, last year was beans. Where you're at, I'm guessing that it's probably going to go back and forth. One year it's beans, one year it's corn, then the next year it's beans. So this year you're probably going to have your homework cut out for you, because I hate to tell you, I hate corn. That is my arch nemesis. They hide in that stuff. It doesn't come out usually till the last part of October, at least around here, November. So if they're living in that stuff, good luck seeing them. I mean, you're not going to do it. I mean, probably before the corn comes out, you're going to be hunting pinch points, funnels, stuff like that, and catch them coming, moving through back and forth. But dude, out here, crop rotation is absolutely everything. And our biggest thing is the Milo.
What's it called?
Usually, Milo, grain sorghum is what it is.
Okay.
It's usually about chest high.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually about chest high, and it's got a head that's usually anywhere from 6 to 10 inches tall, and it's just full of grain, is what it is. They're extremely hard to hunt in it. I mean, with the bow, especially this year, our Milo was really tall because we've had a wet year. And so shooting them inside the Milo fields with the bow is just next to impossible. So, you're going to have to set up to and from water or wherever else that they're going. If you've got corn out, maybe in a feeder or something, you're going to have to catch them in between there. And the hard thing about this Milo is that they bed in it. I said, unless it's water, or if you got corn out there, maybe just something a little different for them to eat, you're not getting them out of it. I mean, just they're safe in there. They know it. And it makes it pretty damn challenging. And then so usually it's every 3 to 4 years, a Milo field would be planted in a field, just how our crop rotations are. Some guys, most of the time it's wheat and Milo out here is what your biggest thing is. But some guys rotate Milo or soybeans and corn into that too. And then one year it might be summer fallow where there's nothing planted in it, spring and summer. So it makes it really, you got to figure out, what farmer you're dealing with, what they like to plant. If you're dealing with just a strictly wheat and Milo farmer, okay, I know at least in the next 2 years this is going to be Milo again. So we really base a lot of our scouting off of those. When the farmers are out planting their crops in the spring, I'm basically stalking them. Like, okay, I know where you're going to plant, or I know you're planting this field of Milo right now because it's, the first week of June. So I know that this field is going to be Milo. So right there from jump, when I know that farmer's out there planting Milo or whatever, scouting starts right now. Historical data, whatever we have from the last time it was Milo, I go right back to all those trail camera pictures. And usually what I've gotten to do the last 3 years is anytime I've got a shooter show up daylight or even at night, what the temperature is, what the wind direction is, everything. And I've got a notebook that I keep all this stuff in. And so now when I know that it's planted to a certain crop, I can go back and look, okay, well, this buck was in the area, when it was 90 degrees or whatever. And I can kind of base all that scouting off of that. And that helps a lot, just having kind of those little extra things to where you're not going to think you're going in so blind. Like this year, I've got before the Milo's ever headed out, because once it shoots that head of grain or whatever, they kind of move to it. So this year, we've kind of preemptively moved our stands and our blinds to these areas that we know that they frequent when it's Milo. So that way, when I know that these deer move to this food source, I'm not in there putting scent in there, nothing. I mean, everything's ready to go. We got a big one show up. Okay, it's time to go kill him. So it's like the preparation. I mean, it probably sounds like a lot. I mean, but once you do it for a few years, it's kind of almost a second nature. And I mean, that's just how we roll now.
Yeah, you get kind of used to that ebb and flow of yeah. And just to be clear, so the audience knows, it's public that you're hunting? Because you're talking about the farmers
No,
changing crop, or are you talking about private? But then if there's crops around you, that's impacting how the deer traversing your
yeah,
property. And how
yeah.
many?
So mostly everything that we hunt is private. There is a couple of public land places. I hunted a really big one a couple of years ago on public, but mostly everything that we've got is private. We don't have a ton of public around us.
How many acres are you hunting?
Oh, geez, all in total, probably I've got access to probably 10 or 12,000.
Oh shit, that's a lot.
Yeah. And most
That's
of it I have sole permission on. But I think a lot of it is just, you know, some of it's 500 acres of nothing but wheat stubble. I mean,
sure.
there's no trees, there's no cover on it, no nothing. I mean, realistically, like what we actually hunt every year is probably maybe 1,000 acres. I mean, that's actually going to hold deer for that year.
Okay. That's a yeah. I mean, that whittles it down a bunch, but that's got to be tricky. So then, like in terms of hunting style, I know before we got on here, you're talking about you kind of you could do ground blind, ground and pound, spot and stock, tree stands. That like what when the crop's rotating and I've actually it's crazy, man. That I like I work in this industry, I breathe this industry, I'm obsessed with whitetail to like the nth degree. I don't know if it's just because it's not a Wisconsin thing, but I've never heard of Milo. Milo. I'm like, I got to figure that out as to what that actually is. I'm not. That's a new one for me. But what style or approach are you going to be taking, given the crop information, or what would you take in previous years in a different scenario, like corn's your arch nemesis? So like, what does that look like in terms of like how you're attacking it?
So number one is I'm going to try to get into a tree. I mean, that's my favorite way to hunt. If there's any way to hunt them from a tree, that's how we're going to do it. Some of these places, I mean, there's not any trees on the place. So then you just got to change it up. Either you're going to put a
Mhm.
ground blind there. I've got a redneck hay bale blind that works
Oh,
pretty
cool.
good. It blends into freaking pretty much anything. Um, but I mean, honestly, some of these big giant milo fields, if they're living in it, I mean, we're gonna stalk them. We're gonna do our homework before season. We're gonna watch these fields, kind of see how they move through them and where they're bedding. Because a lot of these deer, I mean, even in like a 300-acre milo field, they'll still generally bed in the same place within like 100 yards. So, like if you're out scouting a week before, you've got this buck locked down. Usually, you can almost pinpoint where he's bedded down. So before he ever gets up, we can be making our way through that field and where we're halfway close to his bedroom. So that way, when he stands up, I mean, we're ready for him.
Um, I had another question queued up based on exactly what you're talking about. Oh, my brain is just shit tonight. This is the second time this has happened with you, and it came back to me the last time, so I'm sure it'll happen again. You talk about like you love being in the tree, and sometimes there aren't any. What I wanted to talk about, you talked about going back to years past data when it was Milo in the field or corn in the field or whatever. Like you're using that historical knowledge. I have
Mhm.
two questions. I'll start with one. I'm going to ask them both, so I just get them out there, so the audience can keep me accountable here in the comments if they need to. But question one is how are you storing that historical data? Is it journaling? Is it cell cams, trail cams, so forth, all the above? And then the second question is about cell cams and trail cams. I'm curious to know how many you're running and like how you're utilizing them. Mainly because I think there's still some folks that probably haven't put all their cams out yet, and I think that's still going to be a relevant kind of topic for now.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, I'm kind of doing a little bit of both. I'm running the cell cameras and saving those pictures, because most of the time your cameras will usually tell you a temperature and stuff, and then your time and date. So I'm saving all those pictures of all the mature bucks. I've got like separate folders on my phones where like each farm goes into. But then I'm also writing everything down on a notepad. Because the trail cameras, most of them don't tell you wind speed and direction, stuff like that. So I'm writing down all of that stuff too, because a lot of these bucks, if you've got a north wind, they'll move different, and then it switches, comes out of the south, they'll do something totally opposite. They're going to come out the other side of the field or whatever.
Hmm.
So kind of having that to historical data for for all these different farms is pretty key in like the moves that you're going to make. And sometimes on this one side of the farm, there's a lot of trees that you can get into, but on this wind, he's not moving that way. He's going to come out the north side. So, when you have, say, a cold front or something, you just got to be ready for whatever's going to be coming. Okay, yeah, we got a blind set up over here, so we can hunt him with the north wind, with the cold front, perfect for the game. But you need to be ready to switch things up. If it's, like I said, if it's going to switch and come out of a different direction, we usually got a plan in place. But
yeah, when you have that much data, you kind of, I guess, probably know what you're looking. Oh, it's almost like you're looking for certain signals, like, oh, he did this, like, or I know the wind is doing this, so I expect this behavior. Yep, he did it. We're good. So I forget, there's like terminology for this kind of stuff, but it's almost like I'm looking for. I have this data point, and because of this data point, I'm going to be looking for this signal. I got that signal. Now I know that this is probably the next. Here's my likely outcomes from that. I think I can make it happen. How many cams are you running? I mean, you have a lot of acreage. That's a ton.
So right now, I think I'm running 12 cell cameras right now. I mean, not as many as you'd probably think. We might have one or two on each farm. But so funny thing is that I just had two big shooters from last year show up, and I mean, they blew up like I was hoping they would at 5 years old. And so I'm probably going to take some of these other cameras out of these spots where I'm not getting much, or maybe I don't have any.
Kind of like zero in on the one.
Yep.
So you kind of, you're like almost looking like, I got a target buck now. Let's try to figure him out.
Pretty much. And then here in just a couple of weeks, we'll be really hitting that farm really hard, watching from a distance with the spot and scope, trying to figure out how he's moving. The still cameras are going to tell you some. I mean, but I really hate to use cameras as a crutch because there's been so many times that, oh yeah, looking at the camera, he's coming in from this direction. And so you sit where you think the wind's right, and he's not. He's actually making a circle and then coming in and fooling you. So I really like to lay eyes on them myself and watch what they're doing before I ever go in and try to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, that's just smart, right? Cameras can be a crutch. I think they get me pretty excited because I really like to validate that A, there are deer here, B, they're doing this, C, they're going that. Like, you start to get this kind of, with as much data as you have, you're really you're identifying patterns over several years where you kind of start to really know what's going on, and then it's just a matter of like not messing up on any given hunt. Then still stuff has to go right, but you're just increasing your odds and stacking, like almost literally stacking them in your favor with this intel. But the deer's still going to do what a deer is going to do, or there's still going to be other variables and factors that you just can't predict. And that's what keeps it interesting. How many?
Yeah, that's for sure. You might have the farmer come in there and pick up his hay bales one day that you didn't know he was going to be in there picking up his hay bales, and you go in there to hunt, and this deer's bedded in a totally different place, and he's going to come from a different direction at that point. So, like I said, or a coyote could bump them out of their bed. I mean, there's 1,000 different things that could throw a wrench into your plan, but if you've got, if you've done your best and done your homework, it really helps you out. Of course, there's always some luck. Lady luck is always involved in what you're doing. But like I said, if you can be just prepared the most that you can, it really increases your odds of seeing that deer. And I've done this on a lot of deer. And I'm not gonna lie, probably 50% of them just whoop my ass. Like, I think I know what they got going on, and then nope, and then you end up bumping him. Like, oh crap, he was bedded up by the old shed this morning. Like, what the freak were you doing here? And then you don't see him for a week.
Yeah, they're in some of that stuff. I think maybe we give them too much credit for, and other stuff maybe not enough credit for. Like, was that part of their plan to stay alive? Did they figure me out, or was that just happenstance? Like, what's really going on there? It's crazy.
Yeah, and I've said this before on some other podcasts and stuff, and I've told people this all the time. Every deer is different than the next. I think deer are a lot like people. They all have their own personalities, the way that they do things. You've got deer that stay in a 40-acre patch. Then I've seen bucks that literally have a 7-mile freaking radius that they just roam. I mean, even early season, we've seen them. We'll have them locked down in a mile field or something before season. Then all of a sudden they disappear, and we find them in a field 6 miles away. Like, why did you just up and move? And there's no real rhyme or reason. It's just something clicked in their head of the day and said, hey, I think I'm going to go down this way. And then
Yeah.
that's where you find them again. It's crazy.
Yeah, that kind of stuff like keeps our head scratching. I do think that did you follow the MSU Deer Lab page or any of the stuff they put out there? They have
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast
Yep.
also. Like they do these like deer collar tracking studies and they'll release all this like data over time. And one thing that I've seen them, I think to a degree kind of myth bust is like a buck doesn't have a bed. He's got a whole bunch of them. And there
Hmm.
may be buck beds, but it's not like that is his single sole only bed. Like I remember hearing about buck bedding and hunting buck bedding like I don't know, 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there. And then I was like, how do you identify that? And then once you identify, like, oh, is this he's gonna go right back? Like I'm thinking about like, oh, I think my bed. I have my bed in my bedroom. That's where I sleep all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And these guys have done a good job kind of like elaborating on that concept. And, I'm really glad that they did because I was like, "No way this deer isn't that frick like, ho okay," because he didn't show back up, you know, he must have somewhere
Yeah.
else he's bedding down. Um, thoughts on, like, your techniques and tactics to not to, like, some nth degree, but just in as how you, like, figure these things out because it sounds like you're kind of intercepting them from bed to food. So, like, you
Hmm.
have a general understanding of where they're bedding and what that looks like. What are you looking for that kinda stuff?
I mean, around here, it's really kind of any thick cover, because we are so open, the thick cover, um, really is pretty much a general good place to start. We got a lot of bucks though that do not bed on us at all. Like they are not on these properties at all. You're basically just catching them coming from wherever they're like I've got a bunch of them. Actually, the two target bucks that just showed up, I don't think they're living on me yet
Mhm.
at all. I think they're coming from the neighbor. And so if you can figure that out, trail cameras for one, can play a huge role in that if you're on trails or whatever. And some I don't get this misconstrued, but some guys are like, deer, these bucks are completely nocturnal. I don't believe in a buck ever being completely nocturnal. He is up and moving on his feet before dark. He's just not doing it on you, or you're not close enough to wherever his bedding area or his home range is. You're just not close enough to it. Dude, I have seen giant mature bucks get up 3 hours before dark, and it's 90
Yeah.
degrees out. I mean, they're up and moving. It's just you're not
Yeah, and the
seeing.
closer you get in,
Um,
that's like the rub, I guess, is you get in too close and you bust yourself, you know? But
yeah.
the closer you get, the greater the likelihood that you'll get them on hoof before the sun goes down while they're on their way to probably food. And
Hmm.
yeah, that's a tricky one. And sometimes you get lucky where maybe they might like not go nocturnal, but they might mill around their bed longer before they venture out further, and if you're not in
Hmm.
that core area, then, you might not get that opportunity to see him in daylight and therefore think he's nocturnal. It's like, we probably didn't press in far enough,
Yeah.
but also sometimes you can't. So, like, these things are smart
Yeah.
for a reason. There's areas that I know where some like, certainly where bucks I've validated this over the course of 2 seasons now, I know where they bed, and there's a reason they bed there because you can't freaking get in there. You just can't. It's like setting off alarms no matter which way you try to approach it, you're going to alert them to some sort of presence, and they're gonna be uneasy about it, and they're probably gonna take a different travel corridor, you know? Unless I go
Yeah.
with 4 buddies and we try to,
Yeah.
like, take 4 corners of this thing and, like, hope one of us gets the damn thing, maybe, but at
Yeah.
that point, if we spook him,
Yep.
he's barreling out of there at the speed of light anyways, like, good luck. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
they're tricky animals, to hunt for sure. When did it start to
Yeah.
click for you?
Yeah.
That's one of the questions that Derek, I think, hinges the Dropping Pins podcast off of is, like, if people can drop pins of knowledge along their hunting journey, when or why what was it for you where, like, you're like, "Oh, I can kill the big ones." When did that start to, like, come together in your mind for you?
Oof. That's a tricky
Like,
one.
did you observe something? Did you
I,
capitalize on something? What did you figure out when you started to make that transition and you were able to start getting it consistently done?
So I think the biggest thing was, so if I'm getting a buck on trail camera at 10:30 at night, I mean, he's a hour and a half, 2 hours after daylight. I finally, and that's kind of how I killed that 2:30 was finally figured out like, okay, if he's showing up this late, he's coming from a further distance than I, think that he is. So then you start just go kind of almost backtracking. Okay, I know he's coming from this direction, but how far? And the kind of the formula I guess I've come up in my mind is 1 hour for every 200 yards is kind of what I've came up with, like how they move through these fields. And of course, that's just a rough. It might be longer, it might be shorter, but observing these deer in these milo fields and stuff, it seems like it takes them 1 hour to get about 200 yards because they mill around, they screw around, whatever. And so I've incorporated that into pretty much everything that we've been doing for the last 5 years. And it has helped our success rate tremendously because it's like, okay, he's showing up here. Okay, he's here at 1 o'clock in the morning. He could be a half mile to a mile away. Okay, now let's start looking into those places. Let's start glassing, you know, a mile east and start from there. And a lot of times we find them like, holy shit, there he is. Like he's coming out of this thicket. He just crossed the road in front of us. Okay, now he's making that track a mile to where we're having pictures of him at. Okay, great. We don't have permission here. Let's see if we can get permission from this landowner and intercept him. And dude, that has paid off, I mean, tremendously
That's a
for
cool
us.
formula. I mean, whether it's like, obviously it's not going to be like accurate, but it's a good rule of thumb, and that probably helps you reverse engineer. I do a lot of like
Mhm.
marketing, and it's based on timelines and calendar events, and like here's this activation of this event we need to do. Let's plot it, and now we have to work backwards. What needs to be done by this date, by that date, by this date, and there's prerequisite things that have to be done before that date, and you start to work backwards. So if you're getting a buck on camera at this time, let's start working backwards. And that timestamp of 200, you said it was 200 feet yards every hour. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're off by a little bit, if you start just backing your cameras up or putting some more into that path that you think they're taking based on the topography and you know, uh, the terrain and all the forestry and all the stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, boom, we got them. Now we just got them an
Yeah.
hour earlier and an hour earlier, and so now you're increasing your odds of how far you can back your way up into that interception. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah. And, Kansas, we're legal to put out corn and stuff like that. So the one thing I found out was that we found this out last year. We kind of just tested this is some of these bucks, they don't hit a bait pile or something until after dark. It does not matter. Period. They had a bad experience or they know something here is not off or is off, and I'm not coming in here until after dark. So we had two big shooters on camera, and they were just right there at the cusp of daylight. I mean, 10 minutes after legal shooting light. Okay, let's take our feed pile or whatever. Let's back it 200 yards closer to where we know they're coming from. No, 10 minutes after daylight or after legal shooting light, boom, they were there again. It's like, what the heck? So we moved it further. Same thing happened. Okay, cool. Now we know what we need to do. So we kind of just went backwards of what we just did. The original spot where we had them coming in, that's cusp of daylight, we put it back out there, had them hitting it. So we just moved our whole setup 300 yards west, and sure as shit, Blake had a shot on him the very first day of youth season. Came in broad daylight and got a shot.
So you were moving the bait pile closer like that theory we just talked about, but that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
making a difference to them. They're like, no, we're comfortable eating in the cover of night. We're not going to eat in daylight.
Yep.
But you still were able to backtrack and intercept between that bait pile and where they're coming out of.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yep.
I mean, we can't.
Yeah. But like I said, it doesn't work for all of them. I think you just have to figure a
Yeah.
deer out. I mean, because they have such different personalities. Like on that first 200 that I killed, I kind of started to notice a pattern in him. He disappeared. I got pictures of him in July, and I didn't get another picture of that buck until October, the first week of October. He came back. He was a weird one. So I just noticed when I'd go out and put feet out, he would daylight for 2 nights in a row. He would daylight. And then every time after that, he would not daylight. Like for whatever reason, he was, dark after that. So I was just started to notice this pattern. And we were like right in the middle of harvest on the farm. And I told my boss, I was like, I got this deer figured out. Like I can go kill him. Can I, leave work early tomorrow? He's like, yeah, sure. If you think that you can do this, go for it. So that
You got a good
morning,
boss.
I went down. Oh, yeah. So that morning before I went to work, I went out there, dumped a bunch of corn out and everything. And dude, like I've got a loud jacked up pickup. I was revving this thing up, spitting kitties out in the field and shit, just making all kinds of noise. And sure as shit, that deer daylighted 2 hours before dark, and I killed him that night.
Holy shit. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
How fun. You gotta have a good taxidermist on speed dial or something like that with the I don't want to know what your
He's
taxidermy bill is killing deer like this. I couldn't I would like probably wouldn't even shoot that big a deer all the time because I don't think I could afford it. Like
dude. My wife does not like it. I trust
I'm
me, she
sure she
does not
doesn't.
like
She's like, "Are you
it.
kidding me?" Because like I don't know, it's $600 to $800 to mount a whitetail, and you get that big, you're not mounting them. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. I think we've gotten at least one mounted every year for the last like 7 years, and sometimes it's two.
Holy cow.
So
Yeah. What do you do for work where your
yeah.
boss is like, "Hey, you can go." That's cool.
Yeah, so I don't work for him anymore, but I used to work for a farmer, that, he was like, "Oh, I'll call up so and so and have them drive semi so that way you can leave early." So that was pretty cool to be that flexible with with
Are
it,
you
but now I've got a job where I only work till 4 o'clock, so I
Oh,
can go
you're good
hunting
to
every
go. Yeah,
night.
that's great. Yeah, except for, like, when it gets
Yeah,
started sooner and sooner, it's like, it's getting a little harder, but you can maybe cut out early or something. Um, yeah.
yeah.
Uh, so what the other you have your son, ho and your son's 13, so you said he has been hunting since he was 4. I wanna shift gears a little bit into, like, you know, some of the things that maybe you've messed up along the way, not to, like, put you on blast or anything like that, but we talked about, hey, everyone's got technology issues, like, maybe you're just not seeing it all the time or whatever. And the fact that you're filming like and working with Midwest Whitetails, like I don't know what the prerequisites are to work with those guys in that capacity, but you got to be doing something right. Uh, I'm asking a lot of I don't know what I'm asking, but like, is your son incorporated in that? Is it just you? What's permissible? What's not? Are you able to bring some of the humility of like being a hunter into that mix, and to what degree? I'm curious because like they put out super polished content. I mean, their stuff on social. The deer
Yes.
are incredible caliber. They've been around for a long time. A lot of guys have spun off of that. The hunting public, I think, came from Midwest Whitetails, if I'm not mistaken. Like they have a reputation, and I believe it's a good one by and large, you know? So I'm just curious your
Yeah.
thoughts on that whole kind of paradigm.
So that was really cool about Midwest Whitetail too, is that, Blake was welcome onto the team just as much as I was. He's killed some really good deer, and so that was really cool to be able to incorporate him into everything. And he's actually going to be my cameraman, and I'm going to be his cameraman. So, I mean, we're doing some training and stuff. And at first, he was like, "Oh, it's easy. Just turn on a camera and go." I'm like, "No,
Yeah, you
it is
gotta
not that easy."
we gotta bring down tone on the cockiness a little bit. We gotta get you trained up.
Yeah,
Yeah, kids.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, I'm sure that I'm going to be self filming at sometimes. And self filming, I don't know if you've ever done it, but gosh, it takes stuff to a whole different difficulty trying to get a kill on
Yeah.
film and everything, and so that's going to make it a lot harder. So I'm hoping that he can go with me pretty much all the time, and so yeah, that's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for that, dude. I don't this kid. I'm telling you, I'm a pretty hardcore whitetail hunter, but I think by the time he's even 18 years old, he's going to be like to the max. He's probably not going to have a girlfriend for a while because she's going to want to do things. And he's just, that's deer season. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah, that's gonna be a rude awakening at
So,
some point. That's funny.
yeah. And so, and yeah, Midwest Whites, like you're saying, they have a very polished show. I mean, they do an excellent job on every level that they do. And so this year it is going to be a little bit different. Last year we kind of filming almost took a back seat. It was like, okay, if we get on film, cool. If we don't, we don't. That's not going to be the case this year, and it's going to have to be if it's on film. If we run out of light, day. Which, I mean, pains me to say, but that's just going to be the way it is. In Midwest Whitetail, really, they push pretty hard that, we want this, we don't, our show would push it pretty hard for, so that way you have your memories, you have the whole journey that you went on. Basically, they just edit it and put it out there for you. I mean, essentially, it is like they make sure they want. So to be a part of this team, I'm fortunate to be this team, and of course, Big D always helps. But yeah, it's going to be a good year, I think.
But previous to that, you were filming and editing or producing,
Yep.
and where did that stuff live before? As like, I'm assuming that was part of your resume for them to a degree.
Yeah. So it is on our YouTube channel and stuff. I've got that. That was in 2022 when I killed about 180. I got him on film and stuff, and yeah, we've put out some pretty good stuff. I wouldn't say like to the Midwest Whitetail, level, but those guys that are all on the editing side, they're freaking awesome on what they do. They can take shit and turn it into gold, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. We have one producer. Actually two, because we have a primary producer and we have another one, and they don't take all the footage themselves, so they take what we have and they craft narrative and a story arc, and they add the audio and the cuts, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys aren't a part of this and have the time to like consume it all and then put it together. Like they've done a really good job. It's really cool. So I imagine
it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a ton of work, and work that it's not just work you can just like clock in and clock out on. You got to like really be thinking about stuff. To make it interesting to the viewer and make it compelling. So that's cool. And it's cool that you were able to now like just do the self filming. I put in air quotes because that's, as we all know, that's really hard in and of itself. But then when you don't have to work with editing, it's kind of like, all right, cool. You're probably excited to watch it because you're like, let's see what they did with this. You're a spectator just as much as everyone else is. Even though you lived it, you might not remember it, or maybe they position it this way and you're like, oh shit, that turned out really good. That's cool.
Yeah. And it didn't really click until this year either that, they're like, film everything, even if you just got a GoPro on, like film it all. And it used to be like, okay, well, I think this is kind of cool. I'm going to turn a camera on and film this. It's crazy. Like even just now, I don't know how many hours of footage I've sent them so far. We're not even in the season, but it's a ton. And they're really good. They don't push you to do it, but they kind of help you along a lot. It's like, I really have the drive to do this. I just don't know what I'm doing. And so like, even their interns, man, like they're always willing to answer questions. They're always free to answer the phone and like, hey man, what do you need? Dude, I'm having a freaking problem with my SD card in my computer and I can't get the footage off. Okay, man, well, let's walk you through these steps. And dude, Paul, one of the interns, man, I was freaking out. Like I had all this badass stuff of filming footage and I couldn't get it off. And I'm like, what the freaking hell? So he like took 15, 20 minutes. He walked me through all this and finally like I got it. And he's like, well, this is what you probably need to do every time then with your computer.
Interesting.
Okay, sweet, dude.
Interesting. Yeah, even like when I was starting to do a little bit of filming with even this stuff, like I take a Sony SD card and you click on movies and there's nothing there. I'm like, what is the point of this? What am I doing? You have to like go to the root file and then right click show content. I'm like, what? Why do I take this weird path to get to the files? But like, it's not as straightforward as you'd think for half of this stuff. People have, not people have no idea, but like, there's a lot more that goes into stuff than I think a lot of folks care to consider, even like what you're talking about. So it's interesting. I mean, is there anything else that you feel like, we should hit on while we got you here? That, you feel compelled to like share while you got the mic, so to speak?
Oh, absolutely, man. We've been talking about shooting big deer. And like I said, I'm pretty fortunate enough to, I mean, we put in a lot of work. I don't want to undersell. I mean, we work our asses off. I mean, from the time season closes to, you know, the time it ends. I mean, we're working our tails off to try to kill, big mature deer. But, a lot of these guys are like, oh man, I got a 150. I know he's not, as big as the stuff you killed. I'm like,
It's all
bro, do you know how
relative,
big a
man.
150
Yeah.
is? Dude, a 150 is a
Mhm.
monster. Dude, I remember when I mean, the deer back here behind me, he's high 140s. I remember when I killed that deer, like it was my biggest deer to date, and I was over the freaking moon, dude. I was calling everybody like, "Hey, come look at this monster I just killed." Hunt your hunt. If it's a 110-inch deer, or if it's a 200-inch deer, hunt your hunt and do it the way you want to. I see so much bashing going on. I even just watched a YouTube video today where this guy shot a pretty decent, 150-inch buck, but he shot it with a crossbow.
Oh, go figure.
Dude, there were so many comments in there like, oh, I was going to watch it till the end, but then I saw the crossbow in the tree. Dude, if it's legal and you want to do it,
I
do it.
I have an
I
interesting
mean,
thought about the crossbows, which I look, I've hunted from the ground and I'm like, man, if I had a crossbow right now, this would be actually pretty badass because I feel like I could get really in there and just, you know, let it rip.
yeah,
And it's not over till it's over. But there's so much arguing and posturing and peacocking and all this stuff. And we posted a video of me shooting the bow in this new space. And look, man, I was just ripping one down real quick just to get it like, I was like, I know my bow is not on. I haven't shot it in a while. And I was like, well, I might as well just get a group real quick since I'm here and let's mess around. And like I did not hit the mark I was aiming for, but I got a group. So clearly I have to make an adjustment, which is why you do these things. And people are like, I can't believe you would
yeah.
post a video of shooting at 10 yards. What a joke. I'd rather cheat on my wife than shoot at 10 yards. I was like, what? What are we talking?
Oh
What's
my
happening right now?
gosh.
Like what? Why is or like there's that, but then so people will bash on that stuff and then also bash someone for shooting a crossbow. And my argument for crossbows, like, look, man, they're ethical because they're accurate, they're lethal. Like, and I understand that there's an argument around, well, they're advertising that they can shoot 100 yards. That's an advertisement. That's not what they're recommending you do. They're just
Yeah,
saying it can do that. Therefore, you're going to be really accurate at 20, 30, 40 yards with this thing because they just go so fast. And so if you don't
yeah,
have the time to practice and you're not shooting your bow every day or every week, then you probably should shoot a crossbow. And why would you give someone crap for that? Like, what are we doing? The animal probably
yeah,
didn't suffer at all. He probably hit his mark and like got it right. But if he was going to use a compound, he might have maimed the damn thing. You know,
yeah,
I just don't know
yeah.
what we're doing. And
Absolutely.
I like our brand is such a component or proponent of trying to like get everyone to just chill out about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and and I just told my guys this just the other day. It's actually the guys from Midwest Whitetail. I mean, I told Paul, I was like, I'm not gonna. Is it Midwest Whitetail or is it Midwest Bow Hunter? He's like Midwest Whitetail. I was like, good, because I guarantee you, if I find a giant in a mile field and I can't kill him with the bow, Daddy's gonna break out the muzzleloader and I'm gonna go smoke him. I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
if you've got a 170 or bigger deer in a mile field and like, oh well, I can't get him killed with a bow, so I'm not gonna kill him. Mm, nope, I'm pulling the muzzleloader out and I'm gonna go roast him. Sorry,
Yeah.
if I get hate for it, then I do.
And
But
that's okay because like, that's different.
and,
People will accept that, but
yeah,
also I think the crossbow hate probably comes from like, well, you used to only hunt with a crossbow if you had a bum shoulder or if you were old because you had to get a doctor's excuse or you had to have a certain age. And and so I think it has a
yeah,
bit of that stigma there. And even that bothered people because I think, and I've written about this, about how ego can kind of like create some problems, but it's almost like you get a bit of a sense of entitlement. And with that then comes a little bit of paranoia. And you're like, well, if they're hunting the same season I'm hunting with what is basically a rifle or as accurate as a rifle in terms of range and
mhm,
capability, then they're gonna take deer that I was trying to have a challenge at with my longbow or my compound bow. And don't get me started on compound versus crossbow. Like compounds are pretty freaking technology driven. Like they can do a lot of damage, but
yeah,
that kind of mindset of like you're taking I want more for me, or you're taking opportunity away from me because and that might be true. That really could be. And so
mhm.
I just don't think it's worth bashing. I think there's a better way to have that fight if that's what you're concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and this is just my opinion, the only bashing that there should be in the hunting community is if you're a poacher. I mean, you're shooting deer from the truck window or whatever illegally and using thermals and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like,
don't agree
let's
with
play by
that.
the fucking
But
rules, you know, like,
if
let's play
it's
by the
legal,
rules, and if that's a rule that's
yeah,
permissible, like, for crossbows, then it's part of the game, and if you're mad about it, then go pick up a
yeah,
crossbow, I don't know, like, what are you doing? Uh, but yeah, poaching,
yeah,
there's no room for that, like, you can't break the law, like, you can't do that, you can't trespass, you can't do shit you're not supposed to, you can't shoot at night with the spot, like, come on, and people joke about that stuff, and it's a little bit humorous, like, "Oh, I got a tool for that, it's called a spotlight, ha ha, funny, funny." Um, like, if someone's actually doing that, like,
yeah,
that's not funny, that's a problem. It's a problem. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Like I said, if it's legal and you want to do it, I mean, it, I'm a well able-bodied guy that can shoot a compound bow. Do I prefer to shoot a compound bow? Absolutely. But, there's a lot of guys that I've known over the years, they suffer from, they get in a bad car accident or something, and they can't pull their bow back. Okay, so it's because they can't pull their bow back. Should we just, are they a piece of shit for
And you never
hunting
know
with a
someone's
crossbow
story.
that
They might
year?
look well
Like, who
and
are
good, but, like, you just don't know what, like, so you're gonna start just
Yeah,
you can't I did this po you can't the lead foot can't be the bash because you don't know. You just don't that's like saying, "I'm gonna
yeah,
T-bone this asshole on the road because I have road rage and they're driving like shit." They're trying to get to the hospital because their newborn is, like, having a problem in the back seat. Now you just killed a family. Like, you can't let rage be the first foot you put forward and be an asshole. You gotta just everyone needs to
yeah,
take a breath and, like, look around before they cross the road and enter this, like, dialogue because karma's a
yeah. Well, and it's just like, my wife, she probably could, if she decided that one day that she won the deer hunt, she's not gonna be able to pull a bow back. I mean, she's got autoimmune disease and stuff. She's not gonna be able to pull a bow back, and her shoulder's probably not gonna be able to handle the recoil from a
mhm.
higher caliber rifle to shoot a deer. Okay, so does that mean like, well, you're just not gonna get to hunt then? We're not, we don't shoot crossbows in this family, so you're just not gonna be
Right.
able to hunt. Because you want to. We're no, we're not using that weapon. That's shitty. That's no, we're not doing it. I think that's
I agree.
bullshit. I mean,
Mhm.
really.
I just don't care, and I think, like, it does the animal more favors than it does the hunter. So, if it's gonna be a lethal kill,
Yeah.
like, that's what I would if you don't have the capacity, capability, patience, persistence, understanding, know all, like, to pick up a compound and a crossbow's for you, good for you. At least you're out there doing it. You're buying tags.
Yeah.
You're of the cloth at that point. I don't and if you're gonna judge
Yep.
them, you don't have to do it in, like judge them in your head. Like, you could think whatever you want, like pansy. And you can also give
Well, and the
healthy
thing
crap. You
that
can also,
always
like I'm not saying we're such a brand where, like, we're woke and we're like, "You have to be nice." It's also like, you can give people shit, but there's a difference
right.
between, like, giving people shit because 'cause they're your friend and, like, genuinely meaning it. And there's always a little veil of truth to a joke. Like, if you're gonna say something's a joke, there's some nuggets of
Oh, yeah.
truth in there. You probably do feel that way, but also you can razz people. That doesn't work on the internet when it's someone you don't know. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it always cracks me up. You know, I see it on like the Kansas hunting and fishing Facebook page all the time. Some kid posted, with their 110-inch buck, their first buck or whatever, and there's people on there talking shit like, "Oh, why did you let your kid shoot that?" And then what I think is really funny is that when you go look at their page, and that's all the kind of deer that they shoot. Like they want
They
to
just
bash
wanna say
somebody for
what
shooting
they
a deer that
think is
size, but
supposed
that's
to be
all they've
said.
killed their
Like,
whole life.
that's what someone told me, that's what I'm gonna tell you, and that like, at some point, it's gotta get mitigated, and it's not gonna stop. It's never gonna stop. I'm not
Yeah,
that delusional or ignorant. Like, it's not gonna stop, but we can reduce it, and we can just make positivity louder, and I think by and large, we've done I think, a
yeah,
decent job of that. Our audience takes care of most of it. Facebook is a different beast, and, we've gotten some wild shit over there. I mean, people on
oh yeah,
TikTok are nicer than
for
people on
sure.
Facebook. People gotta chill out. Like, if the post is gonna make you that mad, you need to maybe you should go shoot your bow and calm down. Like, touch grass or
Yeah,
something, whatever the
yeah,
saying is.
yeah. That's what I always tell people, if you don't like what you're seeing, keep scrolling, buddy. There's more down there to see
Yeah.
that you can
Like,
that might trip your
"Holy
trigger.
cow, my grip wasn't right on my bow? Okay, well, maybe tell me what wasn't right about it so I can fix it instead of just tell me I'm an idiot." guess what I'm not gonna wanna do now, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Wild. So, yeah, that's a whole topic, and I could probably weave that in every damn episode because I always got some sort of gear to grind, but, um, what are you most excited for this season? What's kind of on the horizon for you? You know, and where can people, like, check you out and all that stuff too? Where can we kinda get a glimpse of what you got going on?
Yeah, so probably the thing I'm most excited for this year is just taking filming to a whole nother level. Like I said, we've done a ton of filming so far this year. That's the biggest thing for me this year is, man, I can't wait to kill them with a camera. I mean, just to show everybody kind of what we're doing and stuff. That's what I'm most excited for. Um, and yeah, you guys, everybody can follow me on Instagram. Just the Jon Landwehr 88, I think is what my handle is there. Do have a YouTube channel as well, so you can look me up there. And then, I mean, pretty much, if you're not following Midwest Whitetail, I'm not sure what you're doing, but uh, hopefully here shortly in the next couple of months, you'll be able to see the stuff there on the Midwest Whitetail regional side. And then some stuff, dude. So this is probably pretty corny, but they shared one of my velvet videos or whatever to the story, I think a week or two ago or something. And I was calling my friends, calling my wife, said, dude, like they shared it to my story. Let's freaking go. So I was pretty pumped up about that. But so yeah, that's pretty much where you can see everything going on this year. I don't post as much on my Instagram
Mhm.
like I used to, just because I don't feel a need to, and a lot of the stuff that filming and doing is just getting going to the show. But still going to see some stuff on there. There's been some guys that have asked me like, "Oh man, well, that deer that you posted, is that one that you're hunting?" I straight up told them, like, if I'm after one, you're not going to see it till it's dead. I'm not
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
any of that out there till it's
Derek's
dead.
he's a bit similar to that, like, he'll share with close friends, he's like, "Don't fucking share that, you're not sharing, and you'll see all
Yep.
his trail cam pics he'll post to his story, but you won't see, 1 or 2, like, that I know I've seen, and it's like he's like, "I'm not sharing this deer
Yeah.
until I kill it, dude, like, I'm
Yep.
not telling people I'm onto this thing 'cause,
Right.
people kinda generally know kinda maybe where he's at or whatever, and yeah, it's interesting." I
Yeah, when I text my buddies, I'm like, "Hey, who's sitting next to you?"
Who's
"Nobody."
sitting
"Why?"
next
"Okay,
to
I'm sending you this
you
picture.
don't know
Don't
they
freaking
share
send
it.
it to
They're probably
nobody."
like, "Dude, look at the buck that my buddy's got," and sometimes it's, like, circles that are so far removed that, like, I'll share stuff with my dad. My dad's not telling anybody anything. He's not sharing stuff to social he's certainly not gonna
Right.
share a picture of a deer to anyone that's gonna, like, y it's not it's different, and, so there's probably a little bit of that
Mhm.
going on, but, it's probably all safe. It's not like we're Lee Ellis, you know what I mean? But
Right.
when you start to get some stuff that goes out on their channel, please send it to me, tag us, or I just want I'm not like now that I've talked to you, I've not
Yeah.
talked to anybody at Midwest Whitetails before, not for any reason other than like it hasn't like come up. Um, and we just do our own thing. So like when you had reached out, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm just so in my own little like bubble that I don't tend to look out, and I kind of enjoy that because I'm not trying to chase stop. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe in the early days, I was like, we got this guest, we got that guest. I don't care about that anymore. It's all fine. But that's not what we're after. So I
Yeah.
don't chase that stuff. But I do appreciate the stuff that y'all put out because it is good. And I want to see what you put out. So when it happens, like please send me a note or something so I can take a look. I'll be excited to watch it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And I'll make sure that you're in the part of the group chat or whatever when we put one on the ground this
Hell
year.
yeah,
So
dude. And yeah, that'll be rough for me because I don't like deer like that. I've never seen a deer that big on hoof ever.
well, he might not be huge, but I mean,
Yeah.
we're hoping for a mature one for sure. This is Blake's first year hunting with a compound bow.
That's
So
cool.
I mean, if it's a good deer or whatever, and it comes in and like looks at it like,
Yeah,
"Dad, can
dude,
I shoot him?"
you
"Send an
gotta get the
arrow,
reps in.
bud.
That
Get him."
this guy was my first deer with a bow ever on public land, crowded public land
Yep.
around here, and, like, I was freaking completely through the moon jacked, and no one coulda told me otherwise, and people did. People tried, like, "What this is what you're proud of?" It's like, yeah, this is what I'm proud of. Are you kidding me?" You know how hard it is to kill a deer in public land?
Um,
Um, so,
yeah. I mean, even if it's shooting a freaking doe with a bow, I mean, it's hard.
yeah, doe aren't
Let's not
dumb,
undersell.
clearly.
I mean, it's, yeah, yeah. A lot of times they're the worst ones because they're the tree lookers most of the time. Sometimes I swear they walk with their head sideways, looking up at the tree just to see if
Yeah,
the freaking
we've
guy's sitting in
educated them
one.
pretty good with this kinda stuff. It's funny. Go figure. No, this
Yeah.
is all it's all good stuff. Well, Yeah, no, thanks for taking time out and dealing with our schedule change. I had a work meeting I couldn't miss that I didn't realize I needed to be a part of on Tuesday. Otherwise, I would have been in here then, which probably wouldn't have gone well because I was barely ready today. And I had come in here like
Yeah.
like Wednesday evening. I think I came in here to like get some more stuff moved a little bit, and then I came in here again today. I was like, I got here at 4:30 in hopes that we would be ready by 6, and I texted you at, like, what, 6 or 5:50 Central Standard Time. I was like, "I'll send it back in a
Yes.
few
Yeah.
minutes." I'm,
Something
like,
like
still
that.
messing
Yeah.
around with this camera up top because it, like, wasn't working. And then all my mics broke. I was like, "Geez." So it all worked out, but, no, I appreciate you taking the time and, like, having the grace to be flexible with our crazy schedule, as we kinda get our feet under us here, so
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. No problem at all. I understand how this shit goes for
it's
sure.
no joke. But yeah, so thank you again, and we'll stay in touch. This will be posted in podcast land tonight. We produce the same night that we record. It just takes a little bit of effort after we're done. And if you guys have anything, any questions for Jon, reach out to him. It sounds like you're active on Instagram. You're probably just not posting as much, but you're definitely there checking stuff. So
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man.